Tesla's Martin Viecha confirms that in 2023, Tesla sales, 90% of them were to first-time Tesla customers. So that just makes that chart I showed you earlier even more impressive. That's a massive hidden catalyst that is like a time bomb which will explode on Tesla bears. People must really hate the CEO of Toyota's tweets. Almost half of them are abandoning the brand out of outrage. If you want to see a chart that shows Tesla's brand damage, here it is. Now, in all seriousness, this only shows what's happening with existing customers. But if you have never been a customer, I think there has been some brand damage. I know of one person who actually really likes the Tesla vehicles, but he told me, my friends and people that know me, some of them are going to be very critical of my decision. So he's actually hesitating about purchasing a Tesla vehicle. But he tried V12 FSD and now he's not so sure. It seems like he might end up buying a Tesla anyway. Oh, did you know that ARK Invest now has more Tesla shares than at any moment before June 6th of last year? You can say a lot of things about Cathie Wood and ARK Invest, but you cannot deny that they are extremely bullish on Tesla and they manage a lot of money. She definitely has some impact on the Tesla stock price. And not just in the short term, but in the long term too, because her price targets are 5-year Tesla stock price targets. Tesla's Rohan Patel made a bullish comment. Do you think Tesla will have the data to prove that FSD is overwhelmingly safer than human drivers? I think they will get there, yes, and we won't be shy. I think getting regulatory approvals is not going to be exactly easy, but some jurisdictions will be much faster than others, so therefore, I don't think it will be a major hurdle for Tesla really in the long term. In the short term, sure, we're going to have some issues, but in the long term, I really don't think so. Maybe you are going to have some issues with robotaxis in certain jurisdictions, but having people not using FSD in their own vehicles for personal use, I don't think you're gonna ban that. And I totally agree with Omar here. Autonomy is essential to achieving Tesla's mission. Higher utilization is the only way to move most transport to zero emissions vehicles in a reasonable time frame. Okay, maybe I don't agree fully, but what I thought he was going to say was that robotaxis overall produce less emissions because with one robotaxi you can serve many people, but with one personally owned car, it's just one family or one person instead of multiple people from all over the place. In other words, you will need less vehicles overall in the whole world, theoretically. But because getting around is going to get cheaper and getting a robotaxi drive is going to be cheaper than owning your own vehicle, I think the demand for getting to places is going to go up. So will we really end up with less vehicles in the world? I'm not so sure about that. You will definitely have less demand for buses and public transportation. And right now, sometimes, I have thoughts, oh, maybe I want to go downtown or I want to go to Stanley Park here in Vancouver, but it's such a drive to get there, especially if it's around rush hour, that I'm like, not today. Maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow comes, maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow comes again. Next week. But if I could get into a robotaxi and I could do my work in the vehicle, okay, I'm going. Someone said the narrative must shift to banning level 0. Vehicles solely driven by humans without autonomous driving support cause more death. Tesla's Rohan Patel says, well said, regulators around the world should be setting the bar higher for vehicles with no advanced safety systems. There is instead a tendency to create artificial blockers to progress, either because of media-inflated anecdotes or protectionism of incumbent industry. Oh, check this out. I've been using FSD in 100% of my drives, with only interventions being some accelerator taps, especially to eliminate slow creeping. Yeah, that's pretty much the only major issue that I constantly adjust for. I have never had to disengage when driving this way, and it makes the overall experience extremely relaxing. I would encourage anyone who doesn't like some of the mistakes or awkwardness of FSD to try doing this. Of course, you can just let FSD do its own thing too, and I enjoy doing this from time to time just to see the progress and decision making, but this experience can be a bit more frustrating and or nerve-wracking if you aren't sure what it might do. But overall, please make sure to monitor and be ready to take over at any moment. I am extremely optimistic about how good FSD will be, but it is not perfect yet. And yesterday I drove to my gym. My shoulders still hurt, so I have been sticking to leg days for the last 3 months only. A leg day after leg day. Anyway, I drove to the gym yesterday on FSD. It's about 11 minutes back and forth, and I did it on FSD, and I only had, I think maybe 2 accelerator taps. One was with a stop sign, and the other one there was a big truck on the right side, and I knew FSD could handle going into the correct lane. My lane was blocked. Maybe if I went for another 10 seconds, the vehicle would have been forced to change the lane. I didn't want to push it, so I just tapped on the accelerator pedal. I'm sure it would have handled fine, but I did it anyway. So 2 accelerator presses. I don't think any of those were needed for safety. And other than that, no interventions. Now coming back, pretty much the exact same thing, except there was this one intersection where the traffic lights were out. So you had people controlling the traffic, and it went through it fine. But all of a sudden, this warning was sounded by the Tesla vehicle. I don't know why. There was no imminent danger or anything like that. No disengagement was required. It was doing great. So I just took over, and that was a disengagement. Overall, FSD keeps impressing me. And by the way, this drive includes 0 highway. So just all city driving. And I went through multiple construction zones too. Gary posted a really popular post. What happens after the 30-day trials and for the people in North America that just got their FSD? Let's assume a 10% renewal rate at $200 a month. That implies 2 million times 10%. We do some math and we get 11 cents per share. If the renewal rate is 20%, that's 22 cents per share. At a 60 PE, that's $13 per share increase in the Tesla stock price, assuming it's not discounted in Tesla stock today. But this math misses one key component, which is sort of what I learned after going to Math Olympics multiple times. The numbers don't really tell you the whole story. It just tells you the surface story. What happens when FSD keeps getting better and better and better and better and better and better, and these people start talking and telling their friends, look, my car can drive me to work and back without any interventions. You want to see? Come with me. And then that friend sees the whole thing and is speechless and goes back to home, to his computer, pulls up Tesla.com, places an order, and now he's a new Tesla customer with FSD. Suddenly, deliveries start to soar. Tesla stock sentiment turns around and the stock rallies. But it's difficult to put that in a spreadsheet. Oh, and Bradford actually thinks very similarly.